Hello and welcome to another episode of Inspired Women Gathering Show. This is a show that talks about all things from life, relationships, spirituality, business, and everything in between. Women are so inspiring, living through their stories, finding resilience, resourcefulness, tenacity, and the powerful impact that we make in the world. I love connecting and having deep conversations, sharing with you the women I am inspired by and so blessed to know. My name is Dixie Bennett. I'm your host, and I'm a soulful women and wealth coach and healer, helping heart-centered entrepreneurial women heal their self-worth, embody their soul purpose, and create sustainable business with heart. And I created this platform to highlight amazing women who I come across and connect with. I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. I am so excited to introduce to you a beautiful soul, Robin Matrai, and our topic today is flat, fit, and fabulous. Robin is a graduate of the Mount Royal Social Work Diploma program, entrepreneur, public speaker, and artist, has spent her lifetime in building community. She just cannot stop connecting people. It is her passion. Robin has found her favorite spot. It is to be with school-aged children and their families, which is her main community-based business, Maple Roots. You can also find her telling stories and speaking to others about her journey with lupus, stage 4 inflammatory breast cancer, and fitness. Lastly, she uses her art as a therapeutic refuge, which then leads to amazing connections to those that receive her art. She is thrilled to be here and does not have a problem striking up a dialogue. So thank you so much, Robin, for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. Let's get chitty chatty.
Yeah, no, this is so exciting. I've gotten to know Robin a little bit over the years. We've sat down and had some beautiful conversations. And she just continues to inspire me in so many ways. So I'm delighted to share her with you today. So Robin, why don't you just tell us a little bit about, because you've got so many things. So you're a business owner, you've been going through cancer as well, and battling lupus and keeping fit and fabulous. How do you do it all?
Well, you take just one little bit at a time. I certainly wouldn't suggest carrying the whole plate all in the same moment. And to be honest, there are moments where I'm not fabulous.
Mhm.
But really, I have leaned on a community of support through every phase of my life. And I think that that building of community has helped me to engage and be part of anything I've done, whether it be dealing with chronic illness, whether it be starting a business, whether it be connecting to the speaking community, or within my art. I just have this habit of really just diving in and getting to know people. It started when I was 4 years old and playing in my grandmother's yard. And I saw a woman dressed similarly to my grandmother. So I assumed that she should be my grandmother's friend. And I pulled her off the street and brought her into my grandmother's house and said, "Grandma, I found you a friend." And my poor grandmother didn't even know who the woman was. So I have never had an issue in approaching people and connecting. Where I saw a need, apparently I thought that my grandma needed more friends.
Aw, that's so sweet. Well, and that's part of I guess, the intuition that you followed. Is that a big part for you?
It truly is. I went through an interesting exercise last week talking about is, what value drives you in every decision you make. Like in every decision you make, what value drives that? And for me, it's that piece of purpose
Mm-hmm.
grounded in my intuition. If
Mm-hmm.
I can feel uh, that I can connect and put myself into that relationship, then I am all in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I put in, I feel like I receive so much back from those experiences.
Powerful. Yeah, our values are so important, and that check-in, right? To check into,
Yes,
am I operating in the highest alignment? Because if it's not in alignment, it's not going to work.
never, never, and you'll feel it.
Yeah.
It's not the challenge of being uncomfortable. It's, wow, this is going against every uh, sense of my being, and
Mm-hmm.
I am struggling.
Mm-hmm.
So
So, how long have you been battling with this cancer, inflammatory breast cancer?
sure. I was diagnosed in September 2016
Okay.
with stage 3C slash 4 inflammatory breast cancer, which is a very aggressive form of cancer. I had been for a mammogram in June and had been told that there was less than 6% chance that I had cancer
Mm-hmm.
and that I should come back in 6 months. But intuition um, really drove me to get myself to a doctor and push it faster. And thankfully I did because I was undergoing treatment by the end of September 2016
Mm-hmm.
aggressively. So I went through aggressive treatment and then I had a bilateral mastectomy in the late winter of 2017. And then I went through significant rounds of radiation just to kind of clean things up. And then I was hormonally suppressed. So I got to do the forced menopause, which is
Mm-hmm.
a crash course in complete imbalance.
Right.
And so then the thought was that it would not feed the cancer cells because my cancer is hormone positive.
Mm.
And unfortunately, it metastasized into my liver.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had breast cancer growing in my liver
Mm-hmm.
in 2018. And so then I had another intervention, which had me in the hospital to complete, which was an internal radiation.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't respond very well to that. It resulted in a stay in palliative care,
Mm-hmm.
and which was very, very grounding. And it was the worst after school special ever.
Mm.
Here I am in the cancer palliative care at Christmas time, and you can almost hear the background music playing, and it was just I was just like I couldn't believe it was happening,
Mm-hmm.
and but thankfully I responded well, and here I am now. I am what they call quiescent,
Mm.
meaning that my disease is still there,
Mm-hmm.
but managed. So I'm on daily chemo and a whole bunch of other medications,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and doing everything I can to support um, my health, right? So,
Mm.
yeah,
Because a big part of your identity is flat, fit, and fabulous. And
absolutely, yeah,
uh, do you mind if we talk a little bit just about having the breasts removed and just some of what
sure.
you went through and that experience and why you decided to stay flat?
So prior to having my breasts removed, I uh, never felt that my breasts were a nuisance or anything like that. And but when I was getting ready to have them removed, I really struggled with my identity,
Mm.
and um, it took some time to really understand why I was struggling with that. After they were removed, it took me a couple of weeks to really stop and look at myself.
Mm.
I would just look to do what I need to do to clean up and watch my tubing and drainage and all those pieces, but it was more function and it wasn't emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first time I really looked at my chest was very emotional. It wasn't just about my breasts not being there,
Mm-hmm.
it was really everything that led up to that point, and that I was still there to
Mm-hmm.
be able to reflect on that. Uh, in part, the decision was made for me not to have breast reconstruction. in that with inflammatory breast cancer, you're not to have any kind of reconstruction for at least a year after treatment because they want to ensure that there's no remaining cancer cells.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so, I had a good year to think about it, and I really struggled. I was just like, I'm bald, I have no breasts, I have this big Buddha belly from treatment. I don't look like myself. I feel like myself on the inside, but I do not know this troll walking around. I really did not identify with what I was seeing visually. So I set that aside and said, I need to take control of this. And so I decided to work on my fitness journey and strengthen myself from inside in that way. And as I went along and started building muscles and feeling my strength in my body, regaining feeling across my chest, I went, you know what? I like being flat. I really do. I think I'm still feminine. I think I'm still womanly. And many people don't even recognize that I've had a double mastectomy, And so now I'm like, I get who I am right now, and I've reframed it, and I'm really happy with who I am. And I mean, it's a personal choice for everyone, but for me, I'm good. And I met a lady when I was in radiation. She said to me, I'm flat and I'm proud of it, and I said, okay, which made me feel a little bit, I'm like, why are you telling me this? This is the strangest thing I've ever heard. But I feel like that lady now, if I see women going through this, I'm like, hey, you know what? It's okay. At the end of the day, it's your choice.
Yeah.
And I had a similar experience at the Women Talk conference last fall, and met a fellow thriver. And she came up to me, and I had been talking about being flat, and she said to me, I really admire you for not feeling you need to wear a prosthesis. And I really admire you for what you said. And then that night there was a social, and she came up to me and she said, look, I'm flat too.
Ah, I love
And that brought so much joy to my heart.
Yeah. That is so powerful. Well, and ever since I've known you, and ever since I first seen you present on stage, I never really, that's not something that I looked for sure. And that it's definitely, it's a form of femininity. It's a physical form of femininity, and you're re-identifying what femininity is for you. And you have great sense of style. I love your hair and your sense of clothing choice, just the way that you present yourself and dress up. You're very feminine in the way that you present yourself.
Well, thank you. I try to zhuzh it up.
Zhuzh it up. I love it. Well, you zhuzh it very well. But I know that there undergoes a lot of confusion, maybe I mean, most women have trouble identifying who they are anyway. And, being feminine is the physical aspect. And what would you say? What's some words of advice in just helping women with confidence and with women and their body image?
I think it's really taking time to reflect on what is beautiful about you. Like so I took some photos of myself in that moment when I was really reflecting. And I took photos of my chest and my face and how I was feeling, and then later I went back to look at it to see it from a different perspective. And I went, you know what? I saw the feeling in my eyes, the emotion,
Right.
and I was like, okay, I've got pretty damn good eyes, I can focus on that, or uh, I can focus on what my assets are, right? And, there's always going to be something, no matter what journey you're on, that you're going to look at in the mirror and go, ugh, I got to do something about this, or ugh, oh, I wish this was one way or another. And I really think that those little jabs that we do at that self-talk that we put on ourselves is really destructive. So it's just reframing those pieces of what do I love about myself? Like what's really great? Like why do I attract people, and what makes them feel good to be around me, and really identifying what you bring to connections. So because if it's coming from inside, it just flows out,
For sure. Yeah. I love that. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about, because you did bodybuilding last year. Was it last year?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, and just that identifying yourself as just really chiseling your body and treading that stage. What was that experience like for you?
Well, we'll put some framework around that. Most of it was chiseled. There was still a little, there were still some areas, but
You did a
that's
lot of
okay.
work. It was really
I
impressive
did a lot of
following
work.
you. And, I mean, it was your first year, it was your first time. And I have some other
Yeah.
friends who do bodybuilding as well. And just
Yeah.
watching, I watch them go through their cycles and I have a
Yeah.
one friend who's done it many times. I'm not,
Yeah.
she's done it, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 times. And just
Wow.
watching her cycle and what she goes through and how she builds, leans, and
Yes.
then when she's in her off time, and I mean, it's hard on the body for sure.
It truly is. It's an intensity for
Very
sure.
intense, yeah. And what was that like? Especially, going through lupus, having lupus as part of your daily experience,
Mhm.
and, just managing your health.
So, again, I just took it in little steps. So when I decided to start training, I added in a a weightlifting session once a week,
Mm,
and I did it with a personal trainer.
hmm
And I really had to learn how my muscles moved in my torso and in my right arm, because I had a lot of surgery in those areas and a lot of nerve damage
hmm
and some muscle removed. So
Right.
um, um, it didn't feel the same as it did before.
hmm
And so I really just worked hard at doing what I was told to do, because sometimes it's okay just to lean into the experts on those pieces. And that's what I did. I leaned in and I just put my nose down and I said, okay, how many? All right, let's go. How many squats? And then just made it a personal challenge. Was I the best in the group? No. But for me, I saw the shift in my body
hmm
from when I started to when I hit the stage. And as I got closer to competition, I picked up kickboxing
hmm
just to try to lean out a bit more. And I picked up a little more cardio, but with my chemo, it limited my cardio. I just couldn't get as much in as I wanted to, but I just kept pressing on. I said, you know what? I can only do my best. If I'm doing my best, that's what I'm going to do. And the good thing about preparing for competition is you really push into your proteins and eat pretty clean, which
hmm
is also a good thing for cancer,
hmm
you know. Um, but it's a pretty restrictive kind of way of eating, and you know, there's no little glass of wine at the end of the day.
hmm
There's 12 weeks out, you are really hyper focused.
hmm
And what was really great about this particular competition was that it was a group of women of many ages and stages and many stories. Um, of the group of us, none of us were fitness pros,
Great.
We were all kind of between 40 and 65 years old.
Wow.
And we were just trying to do something better than we did yesterday.
Yeah.
And we became this this sisterhood, and it was so supportive. Like, though we were competing against each other, it was non-competitive. We were just so happy for each other. And the day before the competition is when all the glam happens, right?
Right. Yeah.
You go in and you get your first coat of spray tan,
Yeah.
which is so shocking, so shocking. And you can't really do anything. And then the second day, the morning of, you go and get your second coat of spray tan, and you thought you were shocked the day before. Your teeth are like glowing against and in normal kind of everyday natural light, you look like that woman. Just really the I just needed a smoke wagon out of my mouth and I walk around going, "Hey, everybody, let's get more sun." But the process of getting my bathing suit made, I had a custom suit made, and the care that was taken to fit my body properly, and make it pretty and sparkly. And then just getting your hair and makeup, like it truly was just a whole celebration of everything that we had worked for coming to this pinnacle of celebration. So it was really a beautiful thing, and it was so much fun just to take it to the stage and just say, "Hey, here we are." And I got to tell you, when people think that posing is easy, it is
It does not look easy.
exhausting.
It looks very uncomfortable.
It is super uncomfortable, and you're trying to hold a muscle, an isolated muscle, in a pose long enough for the judges to be able to keep it in mind to evaluate against someone else.
Right.
And it is exhausting.
Wow.
But you know what? Because it was such a great supportive group, everybody was just, the audience was just uplifting and cheering, and it was just a really wonderful experience. And we all felt like we won without being the winner.
Yeah.
So I felt really good about that experience. And I'm not working out as hard as I was, but it's still in the back of my head to actually win, because I am a dog with a bone. It's in my blood now, and I feel like I'm at a place now where I could really chisel it out. Like, I feel like I could just take it to the next level. So just once. Yeah.
That's powerful. Well, and thank you so much for sharing that journey, because I didn't actually know about that process and what you went through. And I love all the little details of the designing of the bathing suit. I didn't even realize that that was a thing. It makes sense, right? Pageants have that where they make their gowns. Why not the bathing suit? Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's so powerful. Well, and it really is, it's, I love that that you're living, you create the life that you want to live. And you just do it.
You just do it. Just get on that horse and do it.
Let's do it. Well, and there are down days too. So how do you manage your mindset in those down days?
So sometimes the down days are predictable. Like, for me, if I have a busy 2-3 days, I know there's a down day around the corner. So I just settle into it and accept it with open arms and do quiet restorative things. I might paint, read, lounge a bit, and just take the time for my body to catch up to my mind.
Mm.
And then there's the days when you don't see it coming,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel like you're on an up day, and something triggers you, and you feel this the immediate sense of mortality that paralyzes you.
Oh, wow.
And you have this little moment where you're just like, oh, is this the last time I'm going to participate in something like this or experience this feeling in this moment? You know, and it's a quick down spiral if you don't say, okay, this could very well be that, so let's really embrace it,
Right.
but it might not be, right? And so to try and just breathe in, take a moment, mourn that little moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important to have that grief about it, and then just pick yourself up, because I realize that inevitably my illness will most likely be what will take me from this world, and that's okay. So in my way of looking at things, if I mourn these little moments in the moment, then when that time comes for me to transition, I can really be focused in that moment on what I need to do.
Powerful.
And yeah, I don't want to have a life with any regret. Yeah, I think it's really important for people to recognize that their feelings are real and not to push them to the side, but just really feel it, understand it, hold it, and process it, whatever that looks like for an individual, and then try to step forward.
Yeah, no, I think that's the most important thing, is just to hold the emotion, to process it, to feel it, and then to let it move through. Because they come in waves. And not living with any regrets, I think, is, that's the biggest thing of, I should have, I could have, and you're just doing it.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just as simple as, I don't know how many times I've driven by with my children Funtasia on your way to Radium. And we've driven by it for years and years and years. And I'm just like, I always drive by it. I always look at it. We never stop. We're stopping today. Let's go to Funtasia. And our kids are like, okay. But it's done, It's something catches my eye when I'm walking. Instead of going, oh, something caught my eye, let's go investigate it. Let's be curious. Let's ask questions. Let's take the time to talk to another person. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important. I know for myself too, I've slowed down a lot, and just appreciating what's around. I used to be in that, we're here, let's take in as much as we can, which is all the surface stuff, instead of just really sinking in and just really taking it in, and being in the environment. Appreciating the flowers that are around you. I drive some of my friends nuts. I'm like, wow, look at this over here.
If my children hear me say one more time, oh my goodness, look at those mountains. They're there every day. Every day I say the same thing, but every day I see a different beauty in them.
Yes. And I think it's so important to acknowledge that beauty, because to me, that's that amplification of gratitude and appreciation, and just really taking in the beauty and the grace that is right in front of you. I think it's so important. So don't stop getting
No,
it.
oh, I won't. Oh, I won't. No, I think like even just this morning, I opened up the window in the kitchen and I could hear the chickadees chirping
I love
away, and
that.
I could smell the freshness of the morning, just the morning
My
dew.
favorite.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and I just stopped, and I just took a big breath in, and I went, ah, that's nature's aerosol coming in my window, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh, I love those moments too. The mornings, I'm a morning person. I love getting up early in the morning and just being in the quietness of the city or the quietness of the countryside, wherever I happen to be.
Yeah.
Or even meditating in that first early morning time where before anybody, the world starts to stir. It's such a beautiful
Mm-hmm.
time. And just the smells and just hearing the quietness, but then you can hear all the layers of the birds, and yeah,
Yeah,
such a beautiful moment.
yeah, it is.
So, how do you bring your art into all of this?
Well, in those times, like I have been creating for a number of years,
Mm-hmm.
and I found that when I had less energy to be physical, I put myself into my art,
Mm-hmm.
and really found that when I am working on my art, that is, it is meditative in that there is nothing else in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I am not thinking of anything but how will this color lay on top of that color? Will these work together?
Mm-hmm.
Does this give me a sense of depth in my painting?
Mm-hmm.
How do I feel when I look at this? And I get lost in that for hours.
Amazing.
And it's incredibly restorative.
Mm-hmm.
And and at the end of it, I have produced something
Mm-hmm.
that has a, a story in it, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I feel so honored when someone else finds a story that they connect to when they look at it. And it makes me feel happy that they find connection in it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's such a um, I don't create art to make a living
Mm-hmm.
because I would be hungry.
Yeah.
But I create art to have connection with people.
Mm-hmm.
So when I um, put together a painting and then I display it at a market, it's to have a conversation with a person about what is drawing them to that painting.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm.
And I have such beautiful conversations with people about their own stories and about things they have experienced and what has brought them joy or sadness, uh, and we just then build community.
Mm-hmm.
And I have one piece that's um, related to my cancer journey,
Mm-hmm.
and I bring that to all my shows. It's never for sale. It's just meant to be a dialogue piece, and it brings up so many beautiful conversations
Mm-hmm.
um, with people, and I feel like it's just a way of honoring um, people's stories and where they're at. And so if my art can do that, then that to me is a pretty neat thing.
Mm-hmm. That is powerful. And I know that piece. I've seen it many times. It's very powerful
Yeah.
piece. Hmm. Thank you. What about, well, and I know you have, well, let's talk about your business now a little bit and
Mm-hmm.
just the direction that you're going in. That was, again, every time I talk to you, I learn something new. I experience something new. I learned so much more about you. And I didn't know that this was a piece that you did. And so I'd love for you to talk a bit about your business and just how you got into it and what you're creating, because it's another aspect of conversation and it's another aspect of community. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
So how I got into it was really accidental. And some time ago, I was actively working in my profession as a social worker, and I was working with children um, that were at risk and needing support and family counseling and those different pieces. At the same time, we were trying to have a family, and we're successful with our first child, and we had a second child. And I had a health crisis with my lupus. In that health crisis, I was experiencing kidney failure and blood failure, and went through kind of intensive intervention for 12 weeks in hospital. And then from there was released and needed to be at home and unable to work in my position that I had before. So I'm home. I'm immunosuppressed at that time. I have 2 littles, and starting to feel stronger and healthier. And by 2005, so this all kind of started in 2003, 2005, I decided that I wanted to return to work. My position was no longer available, and which really hurt my heart because I really valued where I worked, and I really valued the amount of energy I put into my work. And I was offered something less than what I had been doing before, and I couldn't find childcare for both of my children. And I mean, the universe was just basically taking 2x4s and hitting me left and right, saying, yeah, you're not going to go there. Nope, you can't do that. Nope. And I was like, why is this not working? This is when you're going against the grain of your intuition, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? I'm going to stay home, and I'm going to start my own day home. And being who I am, I did it under an agency because I really respect processes and support and best practices. And proceeded to operate a day home in Calgary for 7 years. And in that time, received acknowledgement from the Alberta government for having the best urban day home in Calgary twice.
Awesome.
So,
congratulations.
Yeah. So I thought, hey, maybe I'm good at this. Maybe this is my thing. Because I just loved working with the families and the children, and it just was very, very natural for me. It didn't feel like work. I felt bad for taking people's money because I was having so much fun doing the work that I was doing. And so off the cuff, I was speaking to a school principal, just said, hey, if you ever need a program in your school, I'd be happy to do that. And I had no clue what I was talking about. I had never ran a child care program. I had no idea the framework, the scaffolding. I just start opening cans of worms and my mouth gets me in trouble before. And she said, okay, I would love an RFP next week. I'm like, okay. Because I don't back down from a challenge either.
So cool.
And I literally brought my business out of the dirt and created it.
Amazing.
Over a number of days and frameworked it out and started Maple Roots in my first school. And today we have 5 schools. And I have to say it is invigorating work. The connection we have with our families, our schools, our communities that we work in is just so heart-filling to me. And like I always knew we had great connection with our families. When I had to announce to my family about my diagnosis and that I would be a little bit more removed from the programs, the outpouring of support was overwhelming. And I truly would say that is based on the value of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I've always looked at anything.
Mm-hmm.
And working with our families, they'll always be part of the Maple Roots family,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just their weird extended auntie. So,
And that's a
but
beautiful role to be.
yeah, but yeah, my work gives me the ability to be a creator with the children,
Mm-hmm.
to guide them, to hear them, to empower them, to work with my educators as teams,
Mm-hmm.
to lift them up and find their strengths and skills and be
Mm-hmm.
a mentor to them, to
Mm-hmm.
work with our families in collaboration with parenting and understanding how we can support them. I just, it just feeds every level of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just respect so much the relationship and the, the shared value back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that reciprocal value that parents see in us
Mm-hmm.
and that we see in them.
Mm-hmm. Great. That's amazing. And how do you, like, when you're in the community, like, do you get to pick your staff, or are they educators, like part of the school system?
We hire our teams,
Okay.
so they're early childhood educators,
Okay.
and so we interview and hire them for our programs,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah.
And do you have, like, do you participate at the ground level, or are you just more of the overseer and
Well, right now with COVID-19,
yeah.
I've physically removed myself from the program just
Mm-hmm.
because my risk level is um, sensitive, and I really need to protect that until we have a better understanding of what that is and
Mm-hmm.
how to manage that. But prior to that, you would see me at every site once or twice a week,
Mm-hmm.
popping in, sitting on the floor, playing, speaking with families. Like
Amazing.
my finger on the pulse is so important to me. So
Mm-hmm.
this particular time is really, really difficult for me to be removed from
Mm-hmm.
them.
Sure.
And but I would say that I'm hands on all the way.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I can be, I'll be right in there.
Yeah.
And like often the parents won't see me because they'll just think I'm one of the kids playing. So, and that's how I like to be. I like to be part of the thread, part of what's going on. I'm not an overseer of people. I don't stand back and cross my arms and yes, everything looks good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
truly want to be part of the energy and really understand what children are saying through play.
Mm.
Because they say a lot through their play. And you can really ask some really great questions to open them up.
Yeah.
School-age children are really this amazing age to work
Mm-hmm.
with.
Mm-hmm.
And we work with them for anywhere from a year to 5 years.
Great.
So we really have these,
You're in growth. And that's
intrinsic relationships with them.
important development time too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Cool.
yeah.
And what inspired that program? Like, why? I know it came about with a quick conversation, but did you see
Sure.
it like growing this big, or did you just kind of
I
start with this?
never, I, I never saw it going that big. I thought, okay, I will have the one program, and I will make it the best it can be.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were approached by another school who had heard about our program,
Mm-hmm.
and they asked us to propose for their school.
Awesome.
And so, and it was a school that was struggling with adequate care at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and the existing program was unpredictable and unstructured.
Mm-hmm.
And so we came in to kind of try and build up parent assurance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and so I felt a real purpose to doing that. There
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a large school; it was a very small school. And I thought, this is important. The community needs it. I need to be part of this.
Beautiful.
And then all of our other schools, we've been invited,
Mm.
and we're at 5 schools, and we've been invited to open in many other schools, but I've purposefully declined
Okay.
because I really want to be able to support our children, our families, our educators, create quality programming that is meaningful and
Mm-hmm.
intentional.
Right.
And, I couldn't imagine just building programs for the sake of building programs. And
Mm-hmm.
it would be easy enough to do. There's such a call for childcare
Right.
that I could just build programs for the sake of building programs and staff it with whoever. And here's the framework. Follow the policies and procedures. I will meet with you once a week or once a month.
Yeah.
It just, that's when it starts feeling like it's going against my intuition.
Right. Yeah.
So
Well,
it
that's
loses
powerful
that
to
sense
listen
of
to.
people.
Yeah. So powerful. So, who inspires you?
Who inspires me? When I was in hospital in 2003, there wasn't, iPads were not very available.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just watch TV.
Right.
And there was a special about this woman named Barb Tarbox.
Okay.
And I don't know if you recall who she was, but she was a Canadian model
Mm-hmm.
who smoked her entire life.
Oh.
Yes, and ended up getting lung cancer
Mm-hmm.
and continued smoking through her lung cancer. But what inspired me about her was her authenticity. Even though she was still smoking, which was very alarming,
Mm-hmm.
she was speaking across Canada to young people about her experience. And she had, a whole portfolio of her youth of being a beautiful model and slender, and then up to the point where she was withered and very ill, and it was an incredibly powerful message. And I think that was one of those moments where I was just like, wow, that is very empowering to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know why, but she's always stuck with me.
Mm.
Uh,
And what was the
and
empowering piece that you took away from that?
that even though uh, she was facing what she was facing, she still did it by her own what I'm looking for. She was authentic. She didn't. Her authenticity. Like, I couldn't understand why she was smoking, but I understood it when I really thought about it.
Mm.
She knew that she wasn't going to be able to quit. She knew that it wasn't something she would readily give up.
Right.
And even though a lot of people would judge that,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was authentic. Like, she was straight up about it, And she said, "This is how powerful this has had a grip on my life, and I cannot let it go.
Right.
And I wish with everything in my being I could, even with death facing me down, I still cannot let it go."
Wow.
And that just, her authentic statement around that
Mm-hmm.
just made me realize how being true to that feeling inside,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it helped me understand because I was judging the heck out of her. Like, I'll be
Mm-hmm.
straight up like, oh my God, you're dying and you're smoking. Like,
Yeah.
come on, girl. But I got it, you know, like I went, who am I? I can't make that judgment. I'm not in those shoes. I'm not in her journey. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when I started to kind of realize that everybody has a personal journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found that incredibly inspiring for me to respect people's journeys
Mm. Yes.
and really hold that space for them to have their journey.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, my journey is my journey, and there's pieces that people will identify with, but it's not the definition of a cancer journey. It's not the
Right.
definition of hope, or it's not the definition of fitness.
Mm-hmm.
It's my experiences, and
Mm-hmm.
and people will identify with pieces of that.
Great.
Um,
Well, and I think that you're the expression of and. You know, I think a lot of people think it's living, you have cancer or you don't. You know, instead of living with cancer, you know, there is an opportunity to still live your best life and thrive through
oh,
whatever
truly,
life is throwing at
exactly,
you, right? It's
exactly.
not, you know, yes, you go through the illness aspect of it, but even in the illness aspect, you know, I think of other women who inspire me, you know, with they're glammed up, they've got their shoes, they've got their
Yeah,
do things that make them feel good about themselves instead of just feeling sick all the time, right?
exactly.
There's things that you can do just to change your vibe, to change your energy in a big way.
Well, truly, like when I was going through my cycles of chemo, I would have these micro celebrations.
Hmm.
Uh, so when you go through your cycle, you have 21 days. So you have your chemo, then 21 days, and then you start your next cycle of chemo.
Right.
And so for about 20 days, you lose your sense of taste.
Mm.
You lose um, your appetite. You lose your desire to partake in food. And I am like a foodie. And I was just so sad because
Yeah, I
all
bet.
my favorite foods were like cardboard and metal and
Mm.
just awful. But for whatever reason, on day 20, my taste buds would kind of come back and I
Mm.
would have my micro foodie celebration, you know, and I'd be like,
Awesome.
okay, it's my favorite day. And I would just
Yeah,
enjoy those things,
I
right?
love
And I
it.
mean, it's just a simple thing.
Hmm.
And I
Well,
just
it's
found
not.
ways to celebrate.
Yeah, it's not a
Yeah.
simple thing. I think those are the things, those are, I call them the little wins. You have to celebrate
Mhm.
all the little wins because those add to the big win, right? Whereas it's
Exactly.
not just like, oh, I woke up one day and everything was fabulous, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before my bilateral,
Hmm.
I had just finished my sixth cycle of chemo.
Hmm.
I was super bald, like shiny bald, and anemic and exhausted. And but I, being the social butterfly that I am, and the dancer and that I am, booked a whole bunch of tables at a pub where there was live music of my favorite band that night, um, 3 days before my surgery. And we had a bye bye booby party.
Nice.
And, you know, um, and even though I could only dance for about 25 seconds and then I have to sit and recover
Yeah,
because I was just so wiped out,
right.
I was like, whatever, you know, and I put my wig on, and I wore the most um, scandalous shirt I could to really just say, hey, they have lived a good life and they are going out on a high note and appreciate it. I'm good with it. Please feel
Yeah,
like you can. You know,
I love
like
that.
I just had fun with it,
Hmm.
uh, and It was such a great night. It was just all my girlfriends, and we had the best time, you
That's
know?
amazing.
So,
Yeah.
like, it's just really finding a moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's finding a moment and just being with it, celebrating it, and
Yeah,
moving to the next celebration.
exactly. Not that I'm a big partier, but life is a party, and it's just a really the energy that comes for me. Like, I really need energy from people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think during kind of the COVID shutdown in March and
Mm-hmm.
April and kind of May, I just felt myself withering because it's not the same as
Mm-hmm.
seeing people in real time. And there was only so much I could vampire out of my children, you know?
I went a little crazy. I went Zoom crazy. I was just signing up for anything, everything, just to have that social connection because I live alone.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
single, live alone, and nobody was coming to visit me, so it was just that. I was just reaching out to all kinds of people and just zooming all over the place. So,
Yeah.
and then I discovered Zoom burnout is a real thing.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, but I think the celebrations, and I think it's redefining what party means. We have this connotation that party means, to get drunk and just,
Yeah.
be half asleep walking through it. And instead,
Yeah.
it's like, no, and that's what the celebration is. The celebration is an uplifting, it's celebratory.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
it's every step of the way, I think is so important.
Well, and it's this rebounding energy,
Hmm.
you know, um,
Yeah,
like
rebounding.
just you feel it off of people. Like you're reacting, you're being proactive. Like this, like
Mhm.
the energy exchange is so moving around, and it's
Mhm.
palpable.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I don't know. I think it's really for me, it fuels me, and I'm just happy to get back a little bit more into the world. I'm still cautious, but
Mm.
uh, you
Oh,
know,
absolutely.
just just
I mean, I'm cautious to a point where like I just go where I need to go.
yeah,
And I don't have any illnesses or anything like that, but it's stressful and it's as an
it
empath,
is.
I'm an empath, so I just feel everything that everybody else is feeling. And
Mm,
it was really difficult grocery shopping even in the beginning because I would go in and all I felt was everybody's fear. And
uh,
there's still a sense of fear, but it's different. Before it was like a fear of just being, out and exposed. Now it's
yeah,
just this judgment fear. Like it's a
yeah,
very
yeah.
different energy, which is it's fascinating just to observe and to experience. But again, it's just I do everything I can just to keep my vibes high and just keep taking care of myself and what feels good to me.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the opportunity to meet a friend and sit on a patio
Hmm.
and have um, pub food. And I was just like, okay, this is okay. Like, I feel good and safe, and we're outside, and my friend is part of my cohort, so we're good, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the social piece, and just trying to remind myself that we have all these things that we can do
Hmm.
in and around our city. Like,
Yeah, I'm really noticing that. I mean, the biggest thing I've noticed is more families. Like I used to see a lot of older people or new mothers that were always out walking about, and now
yeah,
it's families. It's like groups of families that are out walking about. It's
mhm,
whole families are going on holidays again together and they're happy
yes,
about it. I've
yes,
heard I love all the stories that have been coming out of it. I've been hearing so many stories of even siblings, they were quarantined together and they never really truly connected and now they're like best friends.
yes,
And healing of relationships, within family dynamics so there's just
exactly. Yeah,
yeah, and finding different ways to celebrate, finding different ways to connect. in creative ways. And I think that's the coolest thing to watch is humans are so creative. They're going to find ways that still satisfy them. And I think that's
Yes.
important to remind ourselves. We don't have to just follow the rules and cut everything out. It's like, how can you still, follow the rules and yet find that joy and that happiness of your contribution to it?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And, it's just, we're all amazingly creative. When people say, well, I'm not creative, oh, you
Oh,
are.
yeah.
We gotta just tap that open for you. You are. It's
Yeah,
there.
totally. Awesome. Well, we're just at the end of our time. Thank you so much, Robin. I so enjoy you. And any last words of insight or wisdom that you'd like to impart with us?
Well, I just, no matter what a person's journey is in life, be it illness, be it divorce, be it job loss, whatever, that there is always a corner
Hmm.
and there's always hope. And I think hope always has been the thing that pulls me along and
I love.
gets me around to the next corner.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
hope always. Without hope, hope gives us inspiration.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much again, and just you
I thank
inspire me
you.
on so many levels, and I love watching your journey. You're definitely someone that I keep my eye on, and I'm inspired by. I'm like, what's Robin up to? What's she creating in the world? So thank you for that. And to our viewers, I really hope that you enjoyed our conversation today. If you'd like to comment and share in the box below. Also, you can connect with Robin. I'm going to be sharing her contact information in the show notes, and so you can reach her at Flat Fit and Fabulous on Facebook, and connect with her there. So until next time, be light, hope, and love, and abundant love. Bye for now. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.